Mabuhay! I'm Rema and welcome to my art space, and I'm now going to take on a big project which you have to stay tuned and watch in this video. As a backgrounder, I was invited to be a part of the United Artists Society's latest exhibit, which is entitled Likhang Sining, which means artwork in Tagalog. They're not strict with the size, but they asked artists to make paintings that have a maximum measurement of 24 by 24 inches. Now, I like to take a bit of a challenge myself. Because I always challenge myself with bigger paintings. I would admit I'm afraid of making bigger paintings, but I needed to get myself out of the box and I needed to challenge my own self. You know, I'm sometimes a bit harsh on myself, but not really. But you know, taking that challenge, I'm in for 24 by 24 inch painting. But before I show you the process of what I'm going to make, let me tell you a bit of a background of my inspiration for this artwork.
Manila is not a perfect place, but it has a lot of places where I can get reference photos, even shanties and slum areas.
This is the inspiration for my current artwork. It's actually a painting of a slum area in Manila, and I painted this during my art class with Maestro Fernando Sena. I'm going to put the link of the process in my video in the description below, and you could also see the art card up here in this video. The reference I used in this painting was a picture I found on the internet, but I don't want to use a reference picture from the internet again. I wanted to have my own reference. That's why I signed up for a tour called Smoky Tours, which actually tours visitors, locals, and even foreigners in slum areas in Manila.
Smoky Tours is partnered with an NGO called Bless the Children, and it aims to educate people about the life of the people living in two of the biggest slum areas in Manila, Happy Land and Baseco. I chose Baseco because I've never been there before, even though it's quite close to Intramuros, where my university is located. I'm grateful to have Ate Rochelle as my guide as she toured me around the communities and introduced me to some of the locals while explaining to me the history of the place. Along the way, I took pictures and chose this as the reference for my latest artwork. 2 days after the tour, I started my painting, beginning with a sketch and an underpainting of ochre paint. I completed the underpainting on day 2 and focused on the sky. I remember it was gloomy and rainy during the day of my Baseco tour, but I made my skies bright blue while thick clouds filled the horizon. I decided to make this a palette painting because, as my maestro suggested, it would bring out more character into the artwork. While I was doing my work, I kept in touch with Maestro Sena and some of my artist friends, asking them what they think of this and if they have suggestions on what to add and remove. This is what the artist community should be. We uplift and help each other in our craft. I tried my best to get as much details within a day because I can only work for 2 to 3 hours at most on a painting. Although I can work at home, a day was never enough to finish this artwork, given the details of the houses and other objects. I live alone, so I need to clean and cook for myself, which takes up much time too. Painting the sea is my favorite part of this work. Baseco is actually in Manila's port area, that's why its residents reside beside the waters. The Baseco compound was a man-made island used to be a shipyard, and its original residents were the shipyard's workers. Eventually, through the decades, the area became a residential area as the inhabitants grew in numbers. Currently, the number of people living in Baseco is around 70,000 and it's still growing. Politics played the part in turning this area into a major settlement for Manila's urban poor. The shipyard was sequestered under the Aquino government in the late 1980s after the fall of the Marcos regime. Baseco, which actually was the acronym for Bataan Shipyard and Engineering Company, was previously owned by Imelda Marcos family, the Romualdezes. As it was turned over to the new Aquino government, more settlers arrived on the island. Fast forward, these settlers have built not only houses, but a life and culture of their own. This has been passed down to generations after them, who are still living in this area, with most of them working as fishermen. Some are even working as garlic peelers. Slum areas are always deemed to be dangerous and chaotic because the people living there are believed to be uneducated and lazy. We should never judge them because people are complex beings. There's a goodness and wickedness within every man, whether they live in depressed areas or in expensive mansions. But here's the truth. Whether you're rich or poor, we all need God, and our material wealth is not the measurement of our humanity. Somehow, I saw beauty in Baseco, despite it being a dump site. The trash and the shanties make everything look disordered, but I want this painting to emanate the different hues and tones of every human being living in these shanties. There's chaos and disorder, but there's also peace, just like the waters that surround them. I applied varnish after the painting dried. It took a week later for the painting to dry because the paint was too thick.
After more than a week of struggle, pain, fatigue, sleeplessness, here is the final result of this artwork. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Baseco in Solitude.
This artwork will be on display at the Likhang Sining Group Art Exhibit at the UAS Art Gallery from August 9 to August 31, 2025. Hope to see you there!
Init! Hayop! The United Artists Society's group art exhibit that's entitled Likhang Sining or basta Tagalog. Ba't kasi hindi nalalabas yung tissue mga besh? Yung. Why there noise again? Kung kailan mag-shoot ako, ang iingay. Isa ka pa, Shopee shot.